Today we go over the Star Wars franchise when it comes to writer and director JJ Abrams and his thoughts on Rian Johnson's The Last Jedi. This is Mike Zero here. If you guys are new to the channel, do make sure to subscribe to see future Star Wars content. Now, these past couple of weeks, we've been learning a whole lot more about the final film in the sequel trilogy. We've learned a whole lot more about what JJ Abrams will be doing with the final film in the sequel trilogy that will bring a return to characters of Rey and Kylo Ren. Now, all thanks to Cinema Blend, I want to go over JJ Abrams' thoughts of The Last Jedi according to Rian Johnson. So according to Rian Johnson, this is what JJ Abrams had to say, or what he thought about his own movie, Star Wars The Last Jedi. So this is what Rian Johnson had to say about JJ's thoughts on the film. He was into it, and I remember that I pitched him the story at the very beginning, and he had notes, but he wasn't like, oh my god, what the hell are you doing, laughs. No, he was into because I think he was into the storytelling. He's a great storyteller himself, and he saw the potential of each one of these beats. I think he saw it for what we were going to do, which is not we weren't going for. Let's subvert a Star Wars movie. We were going for, let's make a great Star Wars movie that has things in it that will push the limits of what we can do. Rian goes on to say, speaking about JJ Abrams' thoughts on The Last Jedi, no, he was really gracious in just stepping back and giving us a blank slate to work with. The starting point was the Force Awakens script, which is quite a big, expansive, wonderful starting point. In that way, we are drawing directly from his work, but from the point forward, it was a blank canvas. So, the thing here that I do want to go over, aside from what Rian said about JJ's thoughts on his very own movie, I want to go back to what Daisy Ridley had to say quite a number of months ago. You guys may or may not remember this, but she did go over how there were drafts, early drafts for Star Wars Episode 8 by JJ Abrams, that were all written over by Rian Johnson when he was working on The Last Jedi. And that's why you see a lot of the concepts in The Force Awakens completely disregarded in The Last Jedi, such as a great example, the Knights of Ren, and even explaining how Maz Kanata found the Skywalker lightsaber, which was clearly hinted at in The Force Awakens, to be told, in Star Wars Episode 8. Now, looking at what JJ is in fact doing with Episode 9, we do know that he will be inserting prequel trilogy continuity and prequel lore as well. But not just that, but Episode 9 will change everything, and we went over this a couple of days ago as well. Now, exactly what will JJ do to change everything? Now, my point of view is this. I think that by him changing everything with Episode 9, I believe that that means that the final installment of the sequel trilogy, and when you go ahead and see that movie, you're going to perceive The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi in a different way. I'm not quite sure how significant, that perception will be, in, of course, difference to how we see it right now. Whether it's going to be better or worse, I don't know either. But here's the thing, though. This is why some people are indeed worried about JJ Abrams being at the helm of Star Wars Episode 9, is that, well, you guys may recall that JJ, he was indeed executive producer for Star Wars Episode 8. Now, looking at what also JJ had to say, is that he actually really loved Rian's script, and he wished that he was directing it, and he actually wished also that he wrote the film. So, looking at what JJ, has said before, he supports Rian Johnson's movie 100%, he's super into it, and according to what Rian said just there, as we just went over in this video, that JJ was all on board with Rian's ideas of, kind of like subverting expectations and really trying to just make a great movie. And in my opinion, there are a lot of things wrong with The Last Jedi. I do, in fact, disagree with a whole lot more than, what I agree with in The Last Jedi movie. So, looking at how Luke Skywalker was handled, and how some of the story elements were embedded in this movie that were a little bit too long, I mean, the list goes on, but looking at Rian, the fact that he's still getting his new Star Wars trilogy, I feel like that since now Disney is trying to fix the Star Wars franchise, the next big step that they have to make to avoid any kind of risk for, you know, I guess you could say, like, you know, terrible box office results is, I think they should definitely get somebody else as the head, or as the writer, I should say, for the new Star Wars trilogy, the one aside from the D&D trilogy by the creators of Game of Thrones. Anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about this, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
From night